My beloved child, stop scrolling and remain here for a moment, because what happened last night was not an ordinary family conversation, and the words spoken about you were not casual words that disappeared when the room became quiet. Something was revealed. Something your soulmate had been carrying silently was finally brought into the open. And before this message ends, you will understand why everyone around that table suddenly had nothing left to say. Do not move away from this moment. Something is waiting for you inside this revelation, and it may explain the silence, the distance, the strange emotional pull, and the feeling you have carried recently that something important was happening beyond what your eyes could see. You were not imagining it. While you were moving through your night, perhaps wondering whether your soulmate still thought about you, your name entered a room where serious decisions were being discussed. It began quietly. The evening had already settled. The day had released its noise, and the people inside that home believed they were about to share an ordinary conversation. Some were seated close together. Others were moving around the room, pretending not to notice the emotional tension that had been growing for days. Your soulmate was there physically, but their heart was somewhere else. Their heart was with you. They had tried to hide it. They had tried to answer simple questions without revealing too much. They had smiled when they did not feel like smiling. They had looked away whenever someone mentioned love, commitment, the future, or the person who had changed them. But last night, something shifted. The family could feel that your soulmate was carrying an unspoken truth, and one person finally asked the question everyone else had been thinking. Who is this person? The room became still. Your soulmate did not answer immediately. They lowered their eyes, not because they were ashamed of you, but because your name carried more emotion than they were prepared to show. In that brief silence, memories of you began moving through their mind. Your voice. Your kindness. The way you made them feel understood without demanding an explanation. The moments when you remained patient, even when they gave you very little certainty in return. Stay until the end, because the first answer they gave was not the answer that left everyone speechless. That came later. At first, your soulmate tried to keep the conversation small. They said you were someone meaningful. Someone they respected. Someone who had entered their thoughts unexpectedly. But the family did not accept that simple explanation. They had watched your soulmate change. They had noticed the late-night silence. They had seen them checking their phone, losing focus, smiling without warning, and becoming emotional whenever the possibility of losing someone was mentioned. They knew this was deeper. One family member leaned forward and asked, "What makes this person different?" That question opened something inside your soulmate. For a moment, they remained quiet. Then they spoke about you in a way they had never spoken before. They said you were not simply someone they liked. You were someone who made them question the walls they had built around their heart. You were someone whose presence made them want to become more honest, more mature, and more courageous. The room listened carefully. Your soulmate continued. They said there was something about you that could not be measured by appearance, status, distance, timing, or the opinions of other people. They said you carried a calm strength. They said your heart had touched theirs in a place no one else had reached. They admitted that even when they tried to distract themselves, something kept leading their thoughts back to you. Pause here for a moment, because this is where the conversation became more serious. Someone in the family asked whether you knew how your soulmate truly felt. Your soulmate hesitated. That hesitation revealed more than an immediate answer could have revealed. The family saw the fear in their eyes. They saw that your soulmate was not afraid of loving you. They were afraid they had waited too long to show it. They were afraid that their silence may have caused you to misunderstand their heart. They were afraid that while they were trying to protect themselves, they may have pushed away the person they secretly wanted closest. Then they said softly, "I do not think they know everything." Those words changed the atmosphere. The family realized that your soulmate had been holding back something significant. This was not a passing attraction. This was a private emotional battle. Your soulmate wanted you, but they were struggling with how to approach you, how to explain the delay, and how to repair the uncertainty created by their silence. My child, you must understand this clearly. Silence does not always mean absence of feeling. Sometimes silence is where the deepest feelings become trapped. Sometimes a person appears distant because they are overwhelmed by what closeness could require from them. Your soulmate has been standing between desire and fear, between truth and hesitation, between the life they know and the life they imagine when they think of you. Last night, their family unknowingly pushed them closer to a decision. One person asked, "Are you serious about them?" Your soulmate looked up. Something changed in their face. The hesitation began to fade. Their voice became steadier. They stopped trying to make the truth sound smaller. They stopped protecting themselves from the weight of their own feelings. And they said, "More serious than I have ever admitted." No one interrupted. Your soulmate began describing moments you may not even know were important. A conversation you thought they had forgotten. A kind word you offered when they were struggling. A moment when you showed patience instead of anger. A small act that stayed in their memory long after the day ended. They remembered everything. They remembered the way you made them feel seen without making them feel judged. They remembered how your energy felt familiar, even when the situation between you felt uncertain. They remembered the peace that entered their heart whenever they imagined finally speaking honestly to you. Do not skip this part, because the next question forced your soulmate to choose between protecting their pride and protecting the connection. A family member asked, "Then why have you not told them?" The question landed heavily. Your soulmate looked away again, but this time they could not escape behind a vague answer. The room was waiting. The truth had already come too far to be hidden again. They admitted they had been afraid. Afraid that you might not feel the same anymore. Afraid that too much time had passed. Afraid that you had grown tired of uncertainty. Afraid that when they finally opened their heart, you would remember every moment they should have spoken sooner. Their voice became emotional. They said, "I kept thinking I needed the perfect moment. But maybe the perfect moment was never the point. Maybe I was supposed to be honest before I felt completely ready." Those words were not spoken only for the family. In their heart, they were speaking to you. Something extraordinary was happening in that room. Your soulmate was hearing their own truth aloud for the first time. Every sentence made the reality of their feelings harder to deny. Every question removed another layer of fear. Every memory of you reminded them that this connection had survived silence, confusion, and emotional distance. The family noticed something else. Your soulmate was not talking about what you could give them. They were talking about who you inspired them to become. They said you made them want to stop running from meaningful things. You made them want to communicate instead of disappearing into silence. You made them want to protect something real instead of pretending they did not care. One person asked, "What do you want from this relationship?" Your soulmate breathed deeply. This was the moment the room had been moving toward. They said they did not want temporary attention. They did not want to keep watching from a distance. They did not want another season of wondering what could have happened if they had been brave enough. They wanted clarity. They wanted honesty. They wanted an opportunity to show you that their silence was not the absence of love, but the presence of fear they were finally learning to overcome. Still, the answer that left everyone speechless had not yet been spoken. Stay with me, because the conversation soon turned in a direction your soulmate did not expect. Someone asked whether they believed you were truly the person meant for them, or whether they were simply emotional because they feared losing you. Your soulmate became very still. That question reached beneath every explanation. It asked them to separate loneliness from love, attachment from truth, and imagination from genuine intention. For several seconds, the only sound in the room was the quiet movement of breath. No one rushed them. No one offered an answer. Your soulmate had to search their own heart. And as they searched, they remembered the times they had tried to let you go. They remembered telling themselves to stop thinking about you. They remembered trying to move forward as though the connection did not matter. They remembered acting strong while secretly hoping your name would appear on their phone. But no matter how many times they tried to close the door emotionally, something remained open. They did not miss only your attention. They missed your presence. They missed the way you understood the meaning beneath their words. They missed the strange peace they felt when they imagined being honest with you. They missed the version of themselves that appeared when they stopped pretending and allowed their heart to acknowledge yours. Then your soulmate said, "I have asked myself that question many times. And every time I remove fear, pride, and doubt, the answer is still the same." The family waited. Your soulmate continued, "It is them." No one spoke. The room became completely silent. But there was still more. Your soulmate did not stop there. Something inside them had finally broken free. The conversation had reached the place where hiding was no longer possible, and once they began speaking from the heart, they could not return to pretending. They said, "I have met people who were easier to understand. I have had options that required less courage. But none of them made me feel what this person makes me feel. None of them stayed in my spirit after the conversation ended. None of them made me feel that losing the connection would become one of my greatest regrets." Those words stunned the room. Your soulmate had never spoken with such certainty. Some family members had expected confusion. Others expected excuses. A few may have expected them to dismiss the connection completely. Instead, your soulmate defended the significance of what they felt. They spoke about your strength. They spoke about your softness. They spoke about the way you have carried struggles without allowing those struggles to destroy your capacity to care. They spoke about the mysterious familiarity they feel around you, as though some part of their heart recognized you before their mind understood what was happening. My child, there is a reason you have felt unusually connected to this person. There is a reason certain memories return when you are trying to focus on something else. There is a reason your spirit has sensed movement even during moments when nothing seemed to be changing externally. Something has been changing internally. Your soulmate has been confronting the truth. They have been learning that a meaningful connection cannot survive forever on hidden feelings. They have been learning that love must eventually become courage, communication, and action. They have been learning that the heart cannot keep asking for another chance while refusing to take a step. Last night, their family became a mirror. Every question reflected something your soulmate had avoided. Every silence demanded honesty. Every expression around the room reminded them that they could no longer call this connection unimportant. Then came a question that shifted the entire conversation once again. What will you do if they walk away before you speak? Your soulmate's face changed. The possibility felt real. Perhaps for the first time, they imagined a future in which you were no longer emotionally available. They imagined you giving your loyalty, time, and tenderness to someone who recognized your value without hesitation. They imagined hearing that you had moved forward because waiting had become too painful. The thought unsettled them deeply. They admitted that losing you without ever telling the truth would be unbearable. Not because they believed they owned your heart, but because they knew they had been given opportunities to speak and had repeatedly chosen silence. They said, I could accept it if they heard my truth and chose another path. But I do not think I could accept losing them because I was too afraid to say anything. That statement moved through the room like a sudden wind. One person asked, then what are you waiting for? Your soulmate did not have an answer. And sometimes, my child, the absence of an answer is itself a revelation. They realized that the obstacles were no longer outside them. The distance, the timing, the uncertainty, the opinions of others, none of these were the true barrier. The barrier was the fear inside their own heart. Last night, that fear began losing its power. Do not misunderstand what this message is showing you. This is not a promise that every path will unfold without patience. It is not permission to chase, pressure, or force a person into action. True connection does not grow through control. But you are being shown that your soulmate's silence is no longer comfortable for them. It has become heavy. The truth wants to move. The family sensed this. The questions changed from curiosity to seriousness. They began asking about your character, your intentions, your life, and the future your soulmate imagined with you. Your soulmate answered carefully. They did not claim to know every detail. They did not pretend the path would be perfect. But they said something powerful. I do not need everything to be perfect. I need it to be honest. Those words carried maturity. Your soulmate was no longer dreaming only about the easy moments. They were thinking about real communication, patience, growth, and the courage required to build something meaningful. They were not speaking about a fantasy. They were speaking about a choice. One family member questioned whether they were prepared for the responsibility of that choice. Your soulmate replied, "I am more afraid of never trying than I am of the work it will require." Again, silence. The family had expected emotion, but they had not expected conviction. Your soulmate's answer revealed that something had already changed before the conversation began. Last night did not create their feelings. It exposed them. For weeks, perhaps months, your soulmate had been thinking about what to say. They had imagined different openings. They had started messages and deleted them. They had considered reaching out during quiet hours, then convinced themselves to wait. But last night, waiting started to feel more dangerous than honesty. Something huge is waiting for you near the end of this message, because there is one final part of the conversation you have not heard. After everyone had asked their questions, the oldest or calmest person in the room spoke. This person had remained quiet for most of the discussion. They had watched your soulmate closely, studying not only the words, but the emotion behind them. Then they asked, "When you think of your future, where is this person?" Your soulmate did not hesitate this time. They answered immediately. In it. The certainty of that single answer left everyone speechless. Not because the answer was loud. Not because it was dramatic. But because it came without fear, without delay, and without an attempt to soften the truth. Your soulmate saw you in their future. They saw conversations that had not happened yet. They saw understanding replacing confusion. They saw two people finally saying what had been hidden. They saw the possibility of healing what silence had damaged. For one brief moment, your soulmate allowed themselves to imagine that you might still be willing to listen. And that hope awakened something powerful. The family could see it. They could see that your soulmate was not asking for approval to feel something. They were acknowledging a decision their heart had already made. Yet one final challenge remained. A family member asked, "Will you tell them?" Your soulmate looked toward the window, the doorway, or perhaps the phone lying nearby. Their expression carried fear, hope, and determination all at once. Then they said, "I have to." Not maybe. Not one day. Not when everything becomes easier. I have to. Those 3 words changed the night. But the conversation did not end there. After the family began leaving the room, your soulmate remained behind. The lights were low. The house became quiet again. They picked up their phone and opened the place where your name could be found. Their fingers hovered over the screen. A message began. Then stopped. Another message began. Then disappeared. Your soulmate was trying to find words strong enough to carry everything they had finally admitted. They wanted to tell you why they had been distant. They wanted to explain what your presence had awakened. They wanted to ask whether there was still a place for honesty between you. But before they sent anything, something unexpected happened. One final family member returned to the room. This person looked at your soulmate and said something that made them freeze. It was not a warning. It was not criticism. It was a revelation about you. Something this person had noticed, heard, or understood before your soulmate did. Your soulmate slowly lowered the phone. The message remained unsent. They asked, "How do you know that?" The family member stepped closer and answered in a quiet voice. And what they revealed about you changed the entire meaning of the conversation.